6. Does anybody else have a different time?
I got 6:35.
All right, let's go with that.
6:36 on mine too.
Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right, 6:36. Nate, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. All right, from left to right, we got Director Sint. Last call, Director Sint is absent. Director Lore.
Here.
All right, Director Yearsley.
Here.
Director Shields. I see her, but I don't hear her. All right.
Sorry, hello.
Director Shields is present. Director Quinones, you said was absent? Or is going to be
Yes.
absent?
Well, she's going to try and get on later, but she's on another thing right now.
Okay, so we'll mark her absent for now then?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, guys, 3 is a quorum. Let's get it started.
All right. Everybody get a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, concerns, change anything? No. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda as is.
Do I have a second?
Second, sorry. I'm slow today, guys. Forgive me. I've been rough.
Nate, can you do a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. All right, Director Sint is absent. Director Quinones is also absent. Director Laura, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right. Director Yearsley, how do you
Aye.
vote?
Aye.
All
I,
right. Director Shields?
oh, sorry. God. This day is, oh my goodness.
All right. The vote is 3 and with 2 absent.
Okay.
Or sorry, motion passes with 3 with 2 absent.
Okay, public comment. This is a time and place for the general public to address the community service districts on matters within our jurisdiction that are not currently on the agenda. State law prohibits the board of directors from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The community service district may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Yielding time to another speaker is never allowed. All speaker cards must be received prior to the agenda item being addressed. Do we have any public comments? Please raise your hand so Jim can acknowledge you or let us know because I can't see everybody.
Of course.
Okay, I see Lise. Go ahead, Lise.
Oh my God.
Hello. So the Barstow Women's Club is starting to try to get some activities going again. They have a raffle for an Invicta Batman limited edition watch, and it comes in a very lovely like security case. They're selling the tickets for $1 a ticket or $5 for 6 tickets, and the raffle should be done probably on the first Wednesday of December, but we definitely will have it done before Christmas. So it might be a lovely gift for a man in your life, especially if they're a Batman fan. And it's to raise funds for scholarships, like we give $1,000 scholarships to the to a student from Silver Valley and other areas in the Barstow area as well. So several scholarships a year. And the other announcement I have is on October 16th at the Marketplace in Barstow, the Mojave Desert Republican Women's Federated will be having a get together with many of the candidates for our area, including current Assemblyman Jay Albernaut, who is running for Congress to take Paul Cook's seat in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. He and his wife will be speakers. Other local candidates who are Republicans will be there to meet people and talk to them. And of course, the Mojave Water Board. So candidates who are on the Mojave Water Board will be coming to speak so that people have an opportunity to know them before the election. So that will be from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. at what used to be Tony's, or used to be the Sizzlers, but is now going to be the Cattleman Marketplace. And there'll be a $20 buffet with a wine bar and beer bar for extra. So anyways, please come out and support that and meet your candidates. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
I have a question, Lisa. What day did you say, what day and time was that?
That will be next Friday, October 16th, from 5
Okay.
p.m. until 8 p.m. in Barstow.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, any other speakers? Okay, let's go to committee reports. Can I get the Welcome Center?
You sure can. Well, if you've been by, you've seen the progress of the Welcome Center. We got the patio poured, we got the patio covered up. The roofing is going on to the patio, and some black roofing people up there that's still through. The contractor shorted, or the I guess Home Depot shorted him for sheets of roofing, and they are special order. So it's going to be another week or so before those come in. And once those get on, the next step over there is putting in handrails for safety all the way around. And the step after that is cutting the door on the east side of the building. We still don't have COVID clearance to open the doors yet, so we're waiting on that. As soon as the county releases that, then we can start doing the weekends open over there. I will rely on our general manager to let me know when the county is clearing the COVID clearance so that we can get our limited number of guests in there, and we'll follow whatever guidance needs to be adhered to for the clearance. But right now we're just waiting for the roofing to go on, and contractors got other jobs going on at the moment. So not in a hurry, but man, actually fortunate for the COVID shutdown that we're doing this on downtime, but ready to open whenever the county says open. So that's about it from the Welcome Center. If you drive by and take a look at it, I'm kind of happy with it. It looks pretty good. So if you got anything that you want to bring up on it, let me know. And I'll be looking, as we get closer to opening, I'll be looking for more volunteers, probably coming from our own board of directors and the community, as to who might want to come in there and place displays or maybe run some operating hours or that sort of thing. So I'll stay in touch with everybody on that. The major money on that has been spent. I've got a little bit more to go on over there. None of it is CSD money. It's all Welcome Center money. So that's one of the reasons why this is going through so quickly. It seems quick on a government standpoint, because if I had to come to the CSD for funds on this, this would be a 10-year project, and it's taken place in about a year. So, and I'm ready to open whenever the county says go. Any questions? I'll be glad to take them. Clarissa, you're muted.
Clarissa, Debbie has her hand up.
Okay, Debbie, go ahead.
It was just, I was getting a lot of feedback from, like right now, I don't know, I could barely hear every other word. So I'm just letting somebody know because I was having a hard time hearing. Thank you.
Okay, if everybody can make sure they're muted except for whoever's talking, that might help a little bit. Okay, let's move on to the Sheriff's Department. Anybody from the Sheriff's Department? Going once, going twice. Highway Patrol?
I had to unmute myself. The California Highway Patrol continues to work hard. My officers are out there daily. Just to give you a little insight into what we do. Last month, we wrote 208 tickets cars exceeding 100 miles an hour. They're flying up and down the freeway. Other officers are out there working to make everything safe. I know with a ticket like that, sometimes the judge will suspend somebody's driver's license and the fines are pretty high, but the public continues to drive at high rates of speed, and our officers are out there ensuring that they follow the vehicle. But other than that, I don't have anything to report. Are there any questions for me?
Go ahead, Mr. Henderson.
Oh, yeah. I guess we got somebody new in town driving one of the new little road rocket motorcycles. And I can hear him from my house every day, morning, early morning, 7 o'clock, and evening, 6 or 7 o'clock. And it's one of the race rockets motorcycles. And I've never been able to see him because I can't get out there fast enough. But I'm assuming from the sound of that engine, this guy is doing about 80 or 90 miles an hour through town, straight up and down Yermo Road. I don't know if you guys have any control over that, or if you could address it. Hopefully he's been safe for the last week or so, but I know he's still because that's screaming up and down. Having been an ex-driver myself, I can appreciate the fact that he's got the power. However, he is coming through town at excessive rate of speed, and that's what I've got.
I can tell you from the time that you're telling me this is occurring, right around shift change. So in order to get somebody out there, I'll have to, specifically know a time frame. But whenever you guys have issues like that, we do have a traffic complaint process. If you call the office, we log it in a database. We send officers out on multiple shifts during the time frame that you request us to. We log the amount of time that the officer spent out there, and we can give details, how many tickets we wrote, or if we gave verbal warnings or what occurred. But the best way is to actually log it by calling the office.
Okay, I can do that. I'll see if I can track it first and then see if we can get somebody out here at an appropriate time. Thank you.
Sounds good.
I have a question, Chuck. If we see people like driving down the emergency lane section of the freeway and just speeding and cutting in and out of people, what's the best way to report that to you guys? And what information do you need when we do call that in?
That's actually considered an emergency call, so 911 would be appropriate for that. So you call them in. You never know why they're doing that. They could be under the influence. They could be fleeing a crime scene from something else. But if you dial 911, dispatcher, first of all, is going to want to know where you're at. So make sure you know an approximate location, because if you call in and you don't know where you're at, it'll take a lot of time for them to try and figure out where you are. The way that they can locate you on the phone, it's not very precise, and it could give us a location that it's miles away. So if you know your location, you can give us a description. Plates are great. Just vehicle color, direction of travel, any identifying information that you find, we can get units en route to that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Parks and Rec, do we have anything going on for that anywhere? Any
Not
anticipated?
as of yet. We're still closed down, but we're anticipating events and things when things open up for us.
Okay. Community outreach, Debbie, do you have anything?
Well, right now at this point, we're doing our second week of cohort teaching at the Yermo-Elementary. We're starting our second phase, which is coming Tuesday. And it's going okay. It's very, very hideous and hard to do, but they're continuing at all school districts. Silver Valley School District has got only school, I think, is maybe Newberry, hasn't started yet. But it's a process. And hopefully eventually it'll be back to a little semi-normal. Also, I got to see I wanted to say I got to see Copper Mountain College. It was a very nice place. It was interesting to see. I hear us, we talk about it, but to be able to actually see it was interesting. I wanted to share that with everybody. Other than that, some of the churches are having what they call trading trunk or treat, but what it is they're driving through the parking lot, and people with gloves and masks, of course, are going to be supplying goodies and stuff to the children, actually any children. They're still in the process working on that, when exactly, what time. But there are places, and mostly churches, that are trying to get involved somewhat to be able to keep things a little norm. So other than that, I haven't figured out much more, or there isn't much more going on, actually. So that's about it, I guess. That's all I'm listening to or hearing. Thank you.
Okay, Debbie, thank you. Do we have anybody from the county, San Bernardino County representative? I didn't see him on here, so. Okay. Staff and fire department reports. General Manager, Steve, what do you have for us?
Okay, I thank you much. To begin with, I would like to clarify a statement written in one of the agenda packet items from last month's board meeting. It was a copy of a letter that referred to only one individual, and it stated that the board of directors for the Yermo CSD was misled regarding the Welcome Center construction project. Now, the statement is correct, but let me clarify. Mr. Henderson was not involved with any misleading information or data at any time. Again, it was done, but it was done internally. The CSD was told it was going to pay $17,500. The CSD paid 64% more than what it agreed to. The total bill, after Mr. Henderson and I met, the total bill was $48,248.02. But again, Mr. Henderson was not involved in any misleading data to this board. And quite frankly, I believe Mr. Henderson should be applauded for what he's done with that Welcome Center. It's amazing. Okay, with that said, we have, based on our last meeting, addressed our PPE issue with the fire department, and a plethora of PPEs have been delivered. We ordered 800 masks, 1,000 gloves, 3,600 disinfectant wipes. We corrected the soap issue, so no more foaming soap. They're loving us for that. And we're saving big time on the online ordering that we're doing. So things are really clicking over there, and they've got the PPEs they need. Also, I should say that t-shirts have arrived. We're selling those, and the fire department has new t-shirts. So there's just neat things happening, and it's looking good. Our audit is moving forward. I will tell you, I got a phone call from our auditor, David Whitford, about 2 weeks ago now. His office and computer systems were hacked, and it took him about a month to get things back on track. He is back on track, so he's now getting things going, and I should have more to relay to you by next month. In addition, my emails were hacked just this week. So I don't know what's going on, but I don't believe in coincidence. But our audit is moving forward, and I wanted to give you that update. Also, we have new fleet cards. We are using, I sent an email to the fire department this afternoon. We're using the WEX fleet card system. The cards are active, and we have them now in-house. They virtually work everywhere. For the first year, we're going to save 8 cents per gallon on every gallon of gas we buy. That's for the first year. 8 cents discount automatically. That's going to be awesome. We get even bigger savings if we use specific gas stations when we're moving out and about outside our local area. Cards are going to be kept at the CSD office and issued as needed for the fire department. One card will be issued to Chief Brakebill. I just need him to sign that out, and he will have a card for his needs, work related for gas. But we have a whole new system. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to save some money. And now our fire department, while they're using the Unified School District here locally, they are going to be getting much better deals when they're outside our local area. Next, once again, to confirm, we do have an election year going on, and our in-person physical election is going to take place from October 31st through November 3rd, and that will be at the CSD. We are going to provide them with 6 tables, 6 chairs per their request. I still have not gotten confirmation on our cost. I've been emailing about every other day. I'm talking to 3 different departments, and I just have not gotten confirmation, but they have confirmed that they will be here during that 4-day period. They'll be here the week prior to set everything up and get their situation in order. Commodities will be available next week, a week from tomorrow, on the 16th of October. You can pass that on to folks. And then lastly, I am preparing to advertise the public hearing for our 2021 budget. Now, the cost is significant. And if this is done year after year, and especially since President Quinones told me that this week it has to be done to comply with the Brown Act, I'm kind of surprised it's not a line item on the budget. A 2-week run in our local newspaper to promote this public hearing is going to cost $3,941.20. So much like we look back over the past 3 years to create the budget, I went back to see where you had advertised the public hearing or expensed it over the past 3 years. The only problem is I couldn't find any records and couldn't find any minutes with regards to other budgets, and nothing for 2019, 2018, or 2017. Maybe our audit will help with that, but in the meantime, I don't know if this is a new Brown Act or we're just paying attention this year, but the cost is almost $4,000 for a 2-week run to promote the public hearing. Whatever the case, we are on track. I did receive a template for both the agenda and the advertising from Brittany, the secretary at the Morongo Valley CSD. She's the secretary there. She's amazing. I've got the ad to the paper. They're just waiting for my go-ahead. And we have scheduled our public hearing for our 2021 budget at our November general meeting. And that's all I have.
I have a couple questions, Steve. You said you're trying to get a hold of the Register of Voters office to see what our cost is.
Yes.
What would we be paying for? Because we're not in the election this time.
Well, they're going to have the election in our office from the October 31st through the 3rd of November. And they've sent us emails. I've sent numerous emails to 3 different departments of the election office in San Bernardino, and nobody has gotten back to me with an exact cost. They keep saying, well, we'll let you know later, or have no idea, find out from another department. We've allotted $5,000 in our budget this year for that, but we haven't gotten the cost, and we've been ordered to provide the 6 tables, the 6 chairs for everybody, and they're going to come in, like I said, the week before the election period to set everything up.
Right, but we shouldn't have to pay them for coming in and using our building for the election. I believe that money's only if the CSD has people running in the election that we have to pay for that. There shouldn't be a charge for them to come in and use our building. If anything, they should be paying us to use our building.
Well, in our budget committee, I was told flat out that in 2018, we spent something like $4,000 or $5,000 for that election, and we allotted about that same amount of money for this year. So I'm just going based on what everybody told me in the budget committee, and that's what we allotted in the budget that's been approved.
Yeah, Clarissa, it does cost us every year, even if we
Oh,
don't
does-
have anybody run.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So, okay,
They
thank you for
charge us
clarifying.
for the setup and everything of doing the voting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
they have a good deal.
yeah. Mr. Henderson?
Yeah, I don't recall ever having to pay register our voters for any election,
Yeah.
anytime that we ever had an election. So I'm questioning where is this all of a sudden coming from? We, you know, if as officers, if we wanted to rerun and advertise, we did that. That was on us. But we never paid to register our voters for an election at the CS. So I question that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, and especially when they're coming out and borrowing our facilities to do their election or to do everything. I don't know why we would be paying them for that. So can, I know you said you've emailed them to get a cost or whatever, but can we find out why? Just so that we have a explanation as to what we're paying for and why we're paying them to come in and use our facility. I don't understand that. Because I know the senior center and everybody uses them, and I don't think the senior center has $5,000 to be able to pay to have them in there. So I'm just confused. Okay, anybody else have any questions on that? On
Yes,
general?
I had one. Steve, on the money that was above what we thought it was supposed to be for the Welcome Center, who did that money go to?
It was the initial $17,500 that we invested. There was an additional $13,000 to Kramer Construction. There was an additional, and I don't have everything here in front of me. There was additional $5,000 or $6,000 in reimbursement to Mr. Henderson that he was due. And when you add all that up, our total came to the amount I mentioned. But in the Kramer Construction category, I can tell you there were 9 checks, I believe, and 7 or 6 of them were covered in the agreement that Mr. Henderson and I both had. There were 3 additional checks, one for $3,000, one for $5,000, and another one for $5,000 that were paid to Kramer Construction. Mr. Henderson called Bob Kramer and asked him to investigate those 3 checks because they were not on the 50-50 agreement list. And Mr. Kramer contacted me a couple of days later, said yes, he remembers those checks and he received them, which obviously they cashed, and he said they were for what they were told they were for. And that's the numbers we have.
Well,
Mr.
I guess I was not understanding that there was that much above what we had initially agreed on. So can we do go over that next month on the agenda, put that on, so we can see how that breakdown went? Because it sounded like there was additional that we didn't know about going to Kramer Construction.
And also on that same note, do you have copies of the canceled checks for those extra amounts, Mr. Nelson?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you produce those for the board? I'd like to see them. Because they were not on the initial agreement. And I know what checks I was writing to him at the time. It sounds like they were duplicate payments, and that's what's throwing me off here, because he never came to me seeking additional funds, and this sounds like additional funds. And I would like to see copies of the canceled checks from the bank showing that they were actually paid out to him. And if you could produce
Yeah,
them.
and not a problem. I would happy to. And also the check numbers all jive. So there's all the check numbers. There are no duplicates. They are what they are, like you saw when you came into my office and we called Bob Henderson regarding those 3 checks.
Yeah.
So they do exist. I have them in my file and I'd be happy to produce them to anybody. In fact, I've been producing them for 3 months. Nobody just wants to believe it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Steve, I think what he means by duplicate is that we paid him 2 different times, not the checks are duplicate.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I don't know that. That you'd have to get that from Kramer Construction. I mean, I just have the checks and the numbers that jive. I don't know what, if Kramer double billed us, that's on him. That's, I don't know how to do that. That's long before I got here, but I'm showing you, I just have the checks I see. But yet you have to understand, I'm not the administrator of QuickBooks. And I sent out an email almost 2 weeks ago to the board that I got an email from our tax accountant, Stuart, who told me somebody's in QuickBooks adjusting and reclassifying documents. So I don't, quite frankly, know what's going on in QuickBooks, because things that were there 4 months ago aren't there today, and things are being reclassified, and I don't have any control over that. So it is what it is right now, guys.
Mr. Nelson, you say you have copies of those, what I'm going to call excess checks. Do you have them available at the office that I could come take a look at them?
I have the printout of the check numbers, the checks, and the amounts. Yes, you're welcome to come by and look at them.
No, sir. No, sir. I'm looking for a copy of the canceled check.
Oh, I'd have to go to the bank for that.
Okay.
If the actual checks, but I have the check numbers. I have the checks. The checks used to be in QuickBooks.
Right.
But I have because they were attached to every check, and copy is attached to an invoice.
Right.
In the last year and 4 months now.
Let
me see if I can find them in QuickBooks still.
Does your checkbook make copies when you write a check? Steve?
When we write a check, we save it. We save a copy of the signed check in QuickBooks with our invoice.
Okay, understand that.
So if they did that a year ago, I should have copies of this. I'm not sure what they did a year ago, but if they did, I should have copies of those checks. Otherwise, I have to go to the bank.
Because of the dollar amount on that, I would actually request copies of the canceled checks from the bank and whatever it takes to get those. But that's going way over the budget for the Welcome Center, from the agreement from the CSD. And I know that Robert Kramer has several jobs going on all the time, and he's probably got checks coming in from other jobs also. And he would be confused about what checks he got from CSD and like that. But I would actually depend on an actual hard copy check copy of the check from the bank before I would put these checks onto your actual expenditures. It does not sound right. Something stinks here.
Okay, so Steve, so that we can get this done and move on, I would like to request that you pull up all those invoices that were paid for the Welcome Center and see if you can pull them all up with copies of the checks. For the ones that you don't have copies of the checks for, please go to the bank and get those canceled checks so that we can get this straightened out.
At this point,
Okay.
I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead, Debbie.
I'd like to ask the question, Steve, at this point, at the banks that we are now dealing with, do you have access to picking up those canceled checks?
The bank I do have access to. I'm the administrator on banks. That's
Okay.
it. So
All right.
I do have access to get to the bank and get canceled checks.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Steve, is the QuickBooks on your computers in the office?
I have access to QuickBooks in my office. Yes.
And that's the ones that you can't do anything with?
I'm not the administrator, so the public has access to our QuickBooks, Gary. I don't know who has access to our QuickBooks, but people other than my office and my staff have access to QuickBooks.
Okay.
When my when my tax accountant calls me or sends me an email, high priority, and says somebody's in QuickBooks reclassifying documents, and there's nothing I can do because I'm not the administrator, I feel in a real tough place.
Well, have you investigated what you can do to get that figured out? Who's the administrator by getting a hold of QuickBooks?
Gary, we've been doing this. We've been dealing with this for months. I have been sending President Quinones for 7 weeks in a row that I needed help in getting administrative control. Director Sint would not release it. She sent a letter to him back in September and said he had until the 20th of September to release all that, or she would contact the attorneys. It's now October 8th. Nothing has been done. The red line has been crossed and nothing has been done. Director Sint is the administrator and he will not release anything. That's my position where I'm at today. He's the administrator of QuickBooks. He's the administrator of our emails. Mine was hacked this week, and he's the administrator of our website. I have no control over those aspects of our business. And it's been going on, and I've been emailing about this since June of this year. And it's sad that it's October and nothing has been done. Meeting after meeting, minute after minute, the recording after recording that I have said this, and nothing has been done. Nobody will hold this man accountable. Nobody will finish it. He will not respond to any of my emails, and there's nothing I can do.
Got it. Steve, relax. Okay.
Well, I hope so, because it's been going on for months.
Well, okay, just a minute. Hang on. So Clarissa, I think what we need to do is we need to put this issue on the agenda for next month. And we need to put it down as hiring an attorney to send a legal letter to Michael Sint and getting the district attorney involved, because it has to do with our monies, our budgets, our not budgets, but our monies, our expenditures, and things are being done without our okay or knowledge. So I think we need to hire an attorney to send Michael Sint a letter and at the same time get a hold of the district attorney. We will need that on the budget for next month in order to be able to do that, since Michael Sint won't step up and do his job. You're muted, Clarissa. Clarissa.
Sorry, I'm writing and trying to write that down and everything at the same time. So attorney for it, and then contact the district attorney.
Yeah, we should have an attorney write him an official letter, because now it's becoming outside of just us. You know, we've already given him a time frame, and now we'll probably get an attorney to file something against him. But we have to get the board to continue on.
Okay.
This issue will have to be put on, and we need to be careful how we write the agenda item to make sure it covers everything we need to do.
Okay, can you help with the agenda item when the time comes?
Yeah, Steve can call me.
Okay. All right.
I have a
Moving
quick
on.
question.
Oh, go ahead,
Excuse-
Deb.
I have a quick question. Did we not all, I mean, was there not already a letter sent from an attorney in reference to that? I'm just curious.
No, not in reference to this. There was one sent previously, but it wasn't addressing this. This is a separate issue. Director Quinones sent a letter, and so that he could give the rights over, and that hasn't been done. So now we're going to have to take further action.
Okay. Oh, okay, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else on that note? All right, Nate, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any maintenance for Joe?
That's also a negative.
Okay, Chief Breakbill?
Yes. We'll start off with our call volume. We had 24 medical calls, which consisted of emergency medical services, one involving a vehicle accident and another one involving a vehicle accident where we had to extricate. That gave us 19 EMS calls for the month, plus 4 general alarms. One was a false alarm, one was a gas leak of propane, and the other one was for public assist, usually to help an elderly patient up off the floor and back into bed. We had one fire call, which was a hay fire. Total calls for the month, we were a little bit below last year. We were 24 calls from September 9th to October 7th. Our total call volume for the year, 372 calls. Yermo-Calico Fire Department's had a busy month. We attended the 9/11 dinner for first responders at the American Legion Club in Newberry Springs. Wasn't very big this year because of COVID, but it was very much appreciated by the Yermo-Calico Fire Department, and we had a board member there. This is the second year in a row that we've attended the dinner, and they were very great hosts and hostesses over there. We do have a new fire investigator that's joined our fire department. He started as a volunteer. I'm honored to have this gentleman work with us. He's a full-fledged certified state fire investigator. He's been in the fire service over 23 years, graduated from Harvard University. He currently sits on the Long Beach Port Fire Commission and on their executive safety board. He's also a third-generator firefighter. Very unique thing that Josh has compiled. Was working on a lot of motion picture movie sets as the fire prevention person. His grandfather was a battalion chief for LA City. His uncle's currently a battalion chief for LA City. Josh is a loving husband and father of twins, which are 6 years old. So he's one busy person. He's ready to give back to our department. He started as a volunteer and he's come back to his roots. So I'm very pleased to have him on board. We've also had a busy month with people donating to our department. We've had commercial lockers that were donated, and they were donated by LA City Fire Department, and our fire investigator Josh Flores headed up that donation and acted as the go-between. And then he donated because we can't seem to get our hands on our CAL FIRE money. Josh donated $35 to get keys made, so everybody has their individual keys. We had 11 wildland fire coats that were donated by the Silver Valley Fire Alliance. Also, our fire investigator Josh Flores donated $600 for the Yermo-Calico Fire Department t-shirts, and our new engineer firefighter Lewis donated $166 so we could purchase those t-shirts. Also, Josh Flores donated an additional $200 for our new BLS EMS bags to carry all of our gear. 511 is donating extrication tools, and it looks like they're going to match the set that we got on the grant. Our firefighters, all of them chipped in, bought a new toilet, and then they installed it for us as well. We have a couple of plumbers that volunteered for us, so they were able to do all the plumbing and get the restroom squared away. Cardio, we also had a Cardio 4 lead monitor donated for BLS by our firefighters. The extrication tools, the e-tools that we got on the grant from the Office of Traffic Safety, firefighters went to Home Depot and got the mounting brackets and donated them to the fire station. Also, our EMS captain donated 5 more new fire extinguishers since the 5 that we have in and around the district are now outdated. Firefighter Eric Straub donated his time for 3 major cement projects for Victor Valley Fire Academy on behalf of Yermo-Calico Fire Department. We, Yermo-Calico Fire Department, have sponsored Eric to go through their fire academy. It's more than halfway over, and I'm proud to say that he ranks number 2 in his class. Victor Valley Fire Academy has aligned themselves with Yermo-Calico Fire Department and sends us their recruits and says a big thank you to us. We're still in need of structured PPE because I can't get funding from CAL FIRE money that seems to be locked up in the CSD somewhere. But we have no more structure gear, no more helmets, no more gloves, no more flash hoods, no more boots to give our firefighters when they come on board. Yermo personnel, we've been doing some recruiting at the local community college fire academies. We got a strong recruiting program. We're still staffing 4.0 staffing. West Coast EMT will be referring all their graduates to Yermo-Calico Fire Department so they can get their 1,000 hours before they head on to paramedic school. Ontario Adult Paramedic EMT School agreed to refer their students to Yermo too upon graduation. We're still waiting for our grant money to come in for our e-tools. There's been some holdup, not on the fire department side, but on the state side. We still continue to write our own grants and working on getting our PPE. Let's see, we still got to stock our Type 3 engine with tools and hoses, etc. But like I said, my hands are tied because I've got all that money sitting in the bank accounts. But every time I talk to the general manager, there's $6,000 more that all of a sudden disappears and nobody knows what happened to it. Training. We've had a busy month with training. We had a total of 396 hours. I'm not going to go down the list for time, but I will tell you it all has to do with our young men and women getting their Firefighter 1 certificate. Total is about 400 hours. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, I'm a little confused on why you can't get money. What's going on with that? Do we not know how much money is? I mean, I understand that we need to do the fiscal audit to get to find out where all your money went, is whatever, but is there not anything that you can get out of there?
Well, Clarissa, that we had, and Steve can chime in, but we had $42,000 or $44,000, and then Steve was getting ready to help me fund the engine ready so we can start generating revenue for the CSD and our fire department. And then there was $6,000 that was missing out of QuickBooks out of their account. And so he did not issue any checks until the audit is done, because we don't want to issue a check and then have money disappear and not have any money in the checking account. So I agreed with Steve to hold off on that until we can find out where this money keeps disappearing to. 1 minute we have it, next minute we don't. Steve, if I've misspoke, let me know, or let Clarissa know.
No, you're spot on. When I came on board, there was $50,000 missing from the fire department CAL FIRE fund. I was told it was transferred to the CSD to cover payroll, and it was put back. I don't think any of that was true, but $50,000 was transferred out of the CAL FIRE fund. We have an account that's labeled suspense. And that account, as I've reported in numerous meetings, was holding $44,000 in it. I had told Chief that when the budget was done and I had some free time, I'd go to the bank. I'm going to do we're going to redo our accounts at the bank, because what we've got going on right now, this is not the time for the meeting for this, but what we got going on right now is not right. And I'm going to give him back the $44,000 into his account so he could fund what he needs to get that machine, that fire truck going, and they could get out there, work, make some money, and save lives. All of a sudden, that $44,000 shows up as $38,000. But that's in QuickBooks. I just don't know if QuickBooks is accurate or not, because I don't control it. So there's $38,000 now in that account. So I told Chief I can't do nothing yet, because now numbers don't jive. So I'm prepared to move that money into the fire department account so he can get the equipment he needs to get that brush patrol up and running. But numbers are changing, and I need the audit to find out what's going on before I can really start moving things around, because there's too much stuff moving around already. And the chief and the fire department suffering because of it.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. We just got to make sure everything's running right.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's still gonna, before we transfer any money or whatever, we're still gonna have to vote on it, which is a whole nother agenda item, because we don't want to be moving funds anymore without the board approval. So anyway, we'll get that taken care of. We need to get to the bank and find out exactly what's going on. And if it's just out of QuickBooks. Anybody else have any questions for Chief Brakebill? No. All right, moving on. Let's go to action item number 1. Directors to receive 1 stipend per month this fiscal year beginning in October. Director Yearsley.
In our budget meeting, we were trying to make the budgets work. And in order to do that, one of the items that comes in over what the budget was a few other times were the stipends for the directors for extra meetings that we are having because things are not getting accomplished in the meeting. So my point I brought up to the budget committee is that we could just put down for the 12 meetings a month and see if the directors would just try to get everything done in the meetings. And if it goes to an extra meeting, they just wouldn't get a stipend for that. So that's why I put that in the budget, and it was put in there. So if the directors didn't want it, they could vote it down. They could take it out or do whatever they want. But in order to make a budget work, you got to make some cuts in everywhere you can. So that was what that agenda item was for the reason of trying to save money on the budget.
Okay, so fiscal year beginning in October, that's until when? Until we re-vote on it, or is there a date?
No, see, fiscal year doesn't start in October, it starts in June. So we're just way behind. So this is kind of behind the, as you would say, but I'm just saying in this year, we need to for the rest of the year, if we want to follow the budget. If we don't want to, then we can vote this down. But if we want to follow what we needed to do to make the budget work, it'd be that total in the year, there'd be 1 stipend for each month. But you can't go back and change any. It would be from this month on through June.
Okay, so this month
Now
until we,
through June.
right?
It would be this month until June of 2021.
Okay, that's what I'm wanting to know, what until it would be through. Okay, anybody else have any questions on it? Any concerns? Debbie?
No, I'm good. I'm just kind of looking at some of the names. I see names that are in this meeting that I'm not familiar with. So I'm sorry, I was focusing on that.
Yeah, I wish we could put it in where you could see faces, but unfortunately we can't. So it's public meeting, so anybody can join. But okay, so no questions on item number 1. Anything from the public?
If I could, Gary, are you talking about reducing, not paying for the special meetings or extra meetings and just doing a 1 meeting payment per month per director?
Well, my point was that we would just be paid for the regular meeting each month. And if it took a special meeting or 2 special meetings, there would not be a stipend for those meetings. It'd just be 1 stipend per director per month.
Okay. Yeah, you might want to put that in a form. I don't know if you put in a resolution or not, but maybe just an action item on the agenda to do that. But I don't.
That's what this is action item on this agenda.
I'm trying to think if we ever came across that before, and I don't recall. I think we just attended special meetings and we're not paid for them. So new board, new rules. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be if we do this, is we just get paid for regular meetings and not special meetings, so that we can meet the budget requirements. Okay,
Lisa.
anyone
Lisa
else?
has her hand up. Lisa
Okay,
does.
Lisa, go ahead. I see ya. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. So I believe that you all voted for this as a resolution. It involved other things, including per diems and travel information, back when Vicky Paulson was the general manager. So I can't remember the exact date on that, but it would be during the time that Vicky Paulson was the general manager. So, you know, I don't know if it requires a resolution to change a resolution, or if just having an action item as you've got posted here is enough. But you know, it's the way we can make part of the budget work. So your service is valued to the public and we appreciate it. But I think as part of the committee, we were also hopeful that we could manage to get important items into the regular meeting and not really need the special meetings in case it was an emergency scenario.
Answer that question, it'd be an amendment to the resolution, is what it would be.
Okay, so do we need to do the amendment and then re-vote on it, or can we do it as this action item?
So what we do now is this is the action item to vote on it to be done. And then what we will do in the next meeting is bring forward the amended verbiage for the resolution. And then we would final it then. But this is the vote to see if everybody even wants to do that. We have to, before we resolution, we have to make sure.
Okay, and I just have a request that I know we have a lot of people that are extra, like Chief Breakbill, Lise, Mr. Henderson, anybody like that. If we go to do this, we're going to need your guys' help in making sure that anything you recall being on needed on an agenda, that when the agenda items are requested, that you guys speak up with us and say, hey, this was supposed to be on there, or don't forget to put this on there, whatever, so that we can make sure that we get everything on these agendas in order to make these regular meetings a success. And I'd appreciate that with, your guys' help in doing that. Because a lot of times we write it down, but then we forget. And when they ask for them, we forget to send them in. So I'd appreciate your guys' help with that. So
I got a question real quick.
Sure.
Now, Mr. Henderson, can you elaborate or correct me if I'm wrong? Same with you, Gary, and Chief Breakbill. Now, for the agenda items, is that only for directors and committee members, or is that for everyone outside of being a director and a committee member?
The agenda item is referring to directors only. Committee members don't have a stipend, so it does not refer to them. Fire department personnel are not part of the stipend process. So it would just be CSD board directors.
Yeah, the CSD board gets a hold of the president of the board to give them their agenda items for the month, which Steve usually would collect. And then she goes through what it is, make sure that it's written to where it can be understood and done right. Now, if the public would like something done, they could go and get a hold of a director, or they could go into public comment. And if there are 3 minutes they have at the beginning, and could ask at that time for it to be put on the agenda if they would like to ask.
Thank you.
Okay, but as a courtesy, could they, that beginning that month or whatever, say, hey, these are the things that we had addressed in the previous meeting. Don't forget to put those on there. Can they do something like that if they're willing to help us?
Well, if there's something not on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, when you ask if the agenda is complete as it is and nothing's been left off, that's usually for your directors, but to make that decision. So the public at that time doesn't usually add on an agenda item at that time, but maybe we need to be a little more inquisitive of everybody to make sure we get everything on. So I see what you're saying. Try to make the change before it becomes a problem and have to go to a special meeting.
Exactly. So, okay.
So everybody should be vigilant in looking then, and then if they don't see it, they could call you or for one of us, and then we can add it before, as long as it doesn't have to do with items that are not allowed to be added at the beginning of a meeting.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right, do I have a motion for directors to receive one stipend per month? Or Gary, can you make the motion?
Yes, I'll motion that we limit the stipend to one stipend a month per director for the rest of this year, and then we can change or do an amendment to our resolution.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I'm like, I can't just second.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the names and I'm confused because I'm trying to figure out who everybody is. That's all. So I know who I'm talking to.
Okay. All right. Nate, can you do roll call, please?
All right. With the two absentees, Director Sin and Director Quinones, Director Laura, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yearsley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Shields, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, the vote passes with 3 votes with 2 absentees.
Okay, action item 2, the CSD board decision to no longer pay the Welcome Center utilities. Director Yearsley?
The only thing that it was not down as such for them to not be paid. The point in the budget for them to be not added into the budget was I had asked for any notes or messages or anything of the board voting to pay the Welcome Center utilities, and nobody could produce those for me. So I'm as, being in charge of the committee, cannot budget for something that wasn't approved by the directors. So we're at the point now where I don't know if it was voted to do it or if it was not. If it was not, it can't go in the budget until it's been voted on.
Okay, if I could address that, the initial meetings would become CSD on the board, that if there were any utility costs going into it, it was a CSD expenditure. Right now, the utilities at that building are electricity for the lights and water. The Welcome Center has an account with Silver Valley Propane because there is no connection to Southwest Gas at that building. So the initial agreement was that the CSD would cover the utility costs going into this until such time as we got open, and then we could work on the utility costs at that time. We're getting closer to the open date. So I've been expecting this the whole time. The reason why this is back on the agenda tonight is because it was not an agendized item last month. So we just would bring it back and get an official vote on it. I need to talk to the general manager, find out what are the average bills for 490 West Yermo Road. Electricity and water would be the only 2 concerns aside from the security system. Mr. Nelson, do you have dollar figures on those?
I do. I'd be happy to present them to you when you pop by.
Well, we're
Or
voting
I
on
can
it.
either way.
You're voting on it tonight, so I need those numbers. Because if if the numbers are exorbitant, and I know they're not, then that's going to make a decision difference. I believe that the numbers are probably less than $100 a month for utilities over there, if I'm not mistaken. Is that about right?
I believe it is. Nate, do you have the numbers in your head?
Off the top of my head, I can tell you right now for water, it is usually 25.90 or 25.24, something like that. And then for electric, it is no more than I want to say, and don't quote me on this, I want to say it's 90 or less. I'm not too sure. I can't remember that one off the top of my
I'm in
head.
the 75 category. I'm in the 75-ish category. You're close.
Okay, so now we have been paying, well, we paid in the past Southwest Gas, which Mr. Henderson, I believe you made a point, or you brought it up last meeting, that you're running on propane. And then
Yeah.
it clicked to me that, yeah, you're right, you are running on propane. Why are we paying for gas that you guys never
Yeah, there's no,
asked to have hooked
there's
up?
no gas meter, there's no gas line at that location.
Yeah, that's why, you know, I thought about it after that meeting. I was like, wait a minute, they have propane over there.
Yeah. So if
So
you're,
yeah,
and you were quoting a figure like $23 for Southwest Gas, where's that gas going? It's
I
not,
don't know. It doesn't change. It's the same price
right.
every time that we've gotten the billing statement for that.
Okay.
Also the same thing with the water as well. It's been the same every billing statement.
Yeah, the dollar figure I'm not concerned about. It's the address. There's no gas at that address.
490, I
No,
believe, is
we-
what
we
we're
did-
getting a statement
No,
for.
we determined that there was just a simple mistake on coding that one bill. You're not paying gas.
Right, understood.
There is no gas bill at the Welcome Center. That was one mistake, 1 month. We fixed it. It's gone. It'll never happen again. It was an oops, and it's done a month ago. So there is no gas bill. You have an alarm system, you have water, and you have electricity, and it runs totally everything about 150 to 175 bucks a month.
Okay, do you have a dollar figure on the security system currently for 490 Yermo Road?
Yeah, I think it's around what, Nate, 75 bucks, 125 bucks a month.
That's like one something. It's the same that we pay for the fire department. You have the same setup as the fire department, which is door sensor, keypad, and motion sensor.
Okay,
And that's it.
Is
And
it-
you can also access it from their app that they have. It's called Total Connect, I believe.
well, that's okay on if you got cameras. There's no cameras over there.
That has nothing to do with cameras. That's only sensors and the so the door sensors you have on your doors and wherever else they put those sensors. You have
Let's,
those,
um,
and then
let's
the
just talk about
service
utility.
for that keypad.
Nate,
Yeah.
let's just deal with the utilities right now, and we can deal with the alarm system later, because alarm system, I don't believe, is included in utilities. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, Mr. Henderson asked about it, so I
Yeah.
was
No, but we
commenting.
don't need to go into how he can run the system right now. We just need to know the bill part of it.
All right.
Okay. And if I could, I've contacted Edison and I've contacted the water company. Because of their building structure, they required whoever owns the building receive the bill. So if I'm gonna do this, my request is that the bill go to CSD, invoice the Welcome Center, and I'll blood check to the CSD to cover the cost for the following, for the previous month. Is that acceptable?
I'm sorry, I couldn't even.
Very much so for me.
Steve, say again?
Yeah, very acceptable for me. I think that's a perfect plan.
Okay, yeah, the propane, I was able to put in a Welcome Center because they don't care who, they go to residences. Okay. But for the utilities, they require that it go into the property owner's name. So I agree with the Welcome Center that we will pay the water bill and the electricity for the Welcome Center. We'll discuss the, excuse me, the security system at a later date. I still need to get the code from Nate on that, by the way. I have not activated that security system yet because the contractor comes and goes, and I do not want to get that thing confused and alarms set off unnecessarily. So as you receive your utility bills, invoice the Yermo Center, you got my PO Box 27 for Yermo, and
Yeah,
I will cut a check from the Welcome Center account to the CSD to cover those previous month's expenses.
Lise, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. The documentation that was provided to the budget committee included $302.52 for water, an estimate for the year. Now, I don't know if that was based off of, I think you only had water to the building for half a year, Mr. Henderson. So maybe it would be double because I think we were using numbers that we had in the past. And then electricity was 401.40 is what we were estimating. And then I believe that when we were looking at the alarm, we were talking about splitting because right now the alarm system charge was set up to be all three, the CSD, the fire department, and the welcome center. So I think we were just taking like about 300, like splitting it, 300 being attributed to the welcome center as a kind of a round number, you know, divided by 3. And then I'm glad to hear that the Southwest Gas was just a coding error. That's fantastic. Thanks for reporting that, because I was wondering about that. And then if I'm understanding correctly, you want the nonprofit organization to take responsibility for the future bills of utilities to be billed from the CSD to the organization. And then the other thing I'm asking about is, I think I want to say is, I think that the budget committee didn't want to cut off paying for the welcome center. We wanted to, we needed to like look at this as an area we wanted to look for grants as a possibility to help out with, and doing fundraising. So, and as you said, Mr. Henderson, we're expecting about $100 a month. And so we were kind of hopeful that's something that we could work towards partnering as your organization and the community's CSD. So anyways, just wanted to say that. But could you clarify, Mr. Henderson, if I have a great understanding of what you want to do about billing in the future?
Yeah, I think you're pretty close to accurate on that. Grants are not available for utilities. Donations and receipts from the public could be used for utilities and operating costs, but grants typically do not cover utilities. They can cover repairs and construction, that sort of thing. But I think your figures for the year, your estimates for the year are probably pretty accurate. Plans are only going to be 3 days a week, 2 or 3 days a week for open times. So, and I'm prepared to cover those costs with the Welcome Center funds. And we're good to go for 2 or 3 years on that. So we're okay. And I agree that the Welcome Center should be responsible for those utilities because we're going to be there. Question for the board: when do you want to start the billing procedure? Is it going to be immediately, or can I wait until the county says open the doors? Because obviously there's no funds coming in with the doors closed. So I'll leave that up to the board to decide on that. I'll agree with whatever you go along with, but I want to throw that out there. And I'll leave that with your general manager and your board.
Well, I would suggest that since it hasn't opened, that we help cover those until he opens. And then when it gets open, then let them stand on their own feet. I think they'll be able to do that without a problem. But to ask them to do it now is kind of tough for them since they're not open and it's not because of their fault.
Okay, so basically we're still paying them. So the agenda item is for the CSD to no longer pay them. So should we vote on that and just not?
Well,
yeah, we do it in just with the motion.
Well, except one issue, we've already passed a budget. The board has already passed a budget with zero money for funding water and electric. So there's no money in the budget that's been approved by the board on September 28th. Unless we go back and redo the budget, there's no money in the budget to pay those utilities starting now. Just a point of fact. Throw it out there.
Gary, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, well, the only way to add stuff as you go through the year is to go to your budget and see where you stand. But our problem is, since we're so far behind on our budget, we won't know where we stand until we finalize, everything that's going in. So we may have some money that's excess in other areas, and that's where you find how you can use money for things you didn't budget for. But where ours is so late going in, and I don't know where we're at because the figures haven't been kept up with because of Steve not being able to get into certain accounts and stuff. You know, I think that we should help out, but I think we're gonna have to look back at where the budget actually stands when Steve gets the numbers put in for what we are to date from June until now, where we actually set.
If I could make a
I would
suggestion,
agree.
if I can make a suggestion, for your action item, let's make it effective, what, November 1st? If that works for the board, and to see in the welcome center, or November billing period, then the welcome center will cover the bills from then on. That would get you money into the budget, and would relieve the board of the stress of knowing that it's going to be paid by the welcome center. And it's not going to stress the welcome center budget to a point that it's not good. So yeah, if that works, I don't know what your billing cycle is. Steve Nelson, do you have a date on billing cycles, or do you just want to go CSD meeting to CSD meeting and do it like that?
Yeah, I do not have those numbers here at home. And I'm not, I don't see anything opening before the first of the year. I don't know if you guys want to just say, we'll cover it till the end of this year and January 1, you pick it up. I'm not sure. We're 2 months out, so I don't know where. I don't see things opening right up in the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, understood.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, for the board's information, if you would like to make it effective November 1, December 1, January 1, however you want to do it, I concur, and we'll cover the cost of the electricity and the water, and we'll talk about the security system as it comes out. I'm not sure what the numbers are on that, but if we're going to have cameras and all that in there, that's going to have to be included also. So, but currently, for the time being, the utilities, and I'll cover it November, December, however you want to do it.
Are we ready for a motion, Clarissa?
Yeah, we're just gonna run into a little bit of a problem here. Because I'm on the Welcome Center board, I can't vote.
Okay, you're right. Okay, we're gonna need Danica or Mike on the approval.
Let me see if I can,
We can push it 1 month. We just cover it and push it another month and talk about it next month too. I mean, we're going to cover it for the next month as is, it appears. So I'm willing to just push it to the next month.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Make the agenda item effective at the next meeting, and make sure that Danica is on the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just have to push it then, Clarissa, because with you not being able to vote, that we will not have enough people here to do that with a quorum. So let's do that. Let's just leave it as is. And Steve, as I hope you do each meeting, keeping a list of everything that needs to be on the next agenda.
Yeah.
okay, so as of this time, item 2 is going to be informational only, and we will bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay, make sure you get all the details on the which utilities we're paying and everything for the next agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, do you have that down? So that we can make sure. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 3, review and discuss opening the CSD office to appointments only or keeping it closed. That was my item, and it was put on there for the reason that we had voted for it to be closed, but I believe there was still doing a little bit of business here and there as people came. So we needed to decide, is it going to be closed, or are we going to open it for certain things? Because we can't do
May I?
one or the other. It either needs to be closed or it needs to be open. So that's what I have on that. Anybody else have anything?
Well, what we do here is we have our office closed to walk-in traffic, and we make appointments for things that have to be face-to-face, and they have to have masks. They come in and they have to keep their distancing, but you can't have a complete, totally closed office because you still have to do business one way or another. So here we don't have any walk-in traffic. Everything's done over the phone. We've streamlined everything we can to be done, mail in and send out. But there are some things that just have got to be done where they come in. So you can put most all of your stuff on your website to be done over the website. They can call in and say they want to buy something, and they can tell them how to send in their money to buy it, or the flags or whatever. But there are a few occasions where they're going to have to drop by some stuff as such, like if Jim has a house that's got to have a fire inspection, they have to drop off their blueprints. They can send them in, but at one point in time, they're going to have to come in to get everything picked up. So it depends on how much you can get online and how much you can do without them coming in. But we found that we only have about 2 people a month that have to come in, but there are occasions when someone has to stop by.
No, I would agree with that, and that's been our practice in the last few months as things started to gradually open. We have been open for appointments. Mr. Henderson has made an appointment. We went into the boardroom, we social distanced, we had our meeting, things went well. We have commodities coming in. We've had the health department for the county pop in wearing masks, but they popped in. So we do have certain things that do take place. I think we do, just a recommendation from me would be, we do need to be open for appointments, but we should be closed for walk-in traffic. And that way, at least we can do business when we need to do business.
I agree. You just basically have to do everything very possible over the computer that you can do.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything? Debbie?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Any comments from the public? I'm not seeing anybody's hands up. Okay, so do we have a motion?
Yeah, I motion that we have the office closed to all walk-in traffic. The only necessity that we would put into that fact is if someone cannot get their work or something done over the computer or by mailing it in, or stuff being mailed to them, that they set up an appointment and they use their social distancing and let that appointment be made and not have any more than they have to.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Nate, can you do a roll, please?
All right, with Director Sin and Director Quinones absent. Director Lohr, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yearsley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Shields, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes with 3 and 2 absentees.
Awesome. You guys make sure you wear your mask. COVID's no fun. Okay, action item 4, spending limits on Chief Brakebill on the fire department account. Director Yearsley.
Yeah, I think we should just give him 0. He's been doing good with 0. No, I'm just teasing. He just fell out of his chair here.
I think he's out from all those donations.
We need,
Chief, start writing us checks. Chief, start writing us checks.
So it's kind of getting to a critical point where things are not being done. And I don't think Chief having certain amounts to spend and stuff is as big a problem. Is that every time he requests stuff, he's requesting it because it's stuff the fire department's got to have. And that's an essential part of our business here, which a lot of people don't want to call it a business, but running a fire department, CSD, Parks and Rec, lighting, it's a business. Because if you don't run it right, you run out of money and then you can't do it. And in order for a person to run their part of the business, they've got to have some latitude during critical times, you know, for safety items, for things that need to be bought on the weekend when the office is closed, something that's got to be bought when the CSD isn't going to meet for another 25 days. So sometimes these amounts have to be large, because if you run into a critical situation and you end up having to get something running again, it might cost a lot. So these items he needs a lot of times are above what allowances are there, and that's become a problem. But just buying, you know, like his PPEs or buying his medical supplies and stuff for that, we've got to give him latitude to be able to buy those as he needs them. Because sometimes you don't know what you're going to use on a call. You might only use $250 in a whole month, 1 month, but then you might have calls that use triple your amount of medical supplies, which you don't have any control over. It just depends on what people call and have their problem with. It might be $1,000 the next month. And we can't always wait for the board to meet on items that are over a small amount given to him for amounts he can spend. So that's where you have regular amounts a month they can spend. Then you have emergency amounts of money that they can spend. And sometimes those have to be a little higher than we want, but at the same time, those things, we have to let him have those higher amounts. I mean, we can address what, you know, a critical item would be, or we can, you know, suggest that, you know, it wouldn't be something that you can't wait till Monday to get, things like that, or things that you can't wait for the next meeting. But we need to come up with an amount of money so he can run that fire department without having to wait for a meeting. And then the other thing I'm going to bring up is there's a lot of times that he has to have stuff and we're not giving it to him, and they're ending up having to buy it with their own money over there. Some of these people are buying their own gloves, their masks. I mean, now we're not, but I mean, in the past. So we need to get to a point where there is money available and a credit card that he can use. If he exceeds his amount, then he comes to the next board meeting and tells us why. If we don't agree with his decision, then we tell him. But these things are, you got to run it. So whatever happens, if he makes the decision, he's got to get something. It's not a personal thing he's getting. So we need to let him be able to run the business of the fire department without having to wait for checks to be written and signed, and all, you know, running a brush engine for months. I don't even know how many months it's been without any hose or tools on it. You know, we spent all that money and got it to a point, and now it's just set without being used. So the directors need to get together and start helping out to run this fire department the best we can. So I think we should start with talking to Jim about what he thinks a regular amount of money cap would be for the regular day-to-day business, and then what he thinks an emergency amount would be, because he's the one that's been running it for 3 years. So if everybody's agreed with that, I'd like to hear from Jim to see what he needs.
Let me unmute. Okay, there's 2 buckets of money. And I thought the $750 restricted amount was reasonable for the budgeted money. I think $2,500 is reasonable if it comes out of the Cal Fire money. And, you know, sometimes you have to get a tire. Tires are $400 or $500 a piece. Sometimes you need a brake job. Sometimes you need to pay the tow company. But I think a $750 limit on anything that comes out of the budget that the board has approved, anything above and beyond that should go to the board for approval. I think $2,500 is reasonable because the CAL FIRE money is money that is generated by the fire department. Anything above and beyond that or a major purchase, I still think needs to come before the board. But I think if I went back and looked at the last minutes, we talked about $750 for anything out of the budgeted money, which is on the CSD budget. And then anything above and beyond, I mean, $2,500 on the CAL FIRE, anything above and beyond those limits would have to come before the board. I can't imagine anything coming above those limits that it can't wait until the board gets approved, until I get approval from the board. You got to remember, this is going on my 41st year in the fire service. I've been doing this most of my life, and I think I'm pretty reasonable. And if you look back at the history, I don't think I've ever purchased anything without coming before the board and letting you guys know. You know, we're a small CSD, and we've got to manage our money effectively. That's why I came up with the idea about getting on strike teams and generating money, because we only have X amount of money coming in from the taxpayers, and it's not fair in our jurisdiction to raise taxes or to put a tax initiative. I think between getting the grants and getting assignments on strike teams and stuff, we can generate money to have that fire department self-sustaining, so we don't have to budget large amounts of money out of the taxpayer side. So, you know, that's my belief. I'll repeat it one more time, $750 limit for anything that's budgeted. Anything above and beyond that needs to go before the board. Anything in the CAL FIRE account, which is supposed to go directly to fire equipment, maintenance, PPE, I think $2,500 should be the limit on that. Anything above and beyond that needs to come back before the board.
Okay. Directors, do you have any questions? Debbie?
I have a question. On the expenses, they ran through you prior to presenting to the board, or how's that work? I'm trying to understand.
Okay, I'll answer that. So Debbie, I sat down and I spoke with Steve. And what we're going to do is any bills that come in that's fire department related, Steve calls me, he scans them, he faxes them to me. If it is a CSD budget amount, I write the account number on the invoice or the receipt, so Steve knows which account to debit for that amount of money. If it comes, same thing for the CAL FIRE fund. All right, I look at it, I determine whether it's CAL FIRE or CSD money. I put the account number on it, I sign it, I send it back to Steve. That way Steve has a paper trail, any board member has a paper trail, and everybody knows where the money goes, and it's very transparent. Okay, I talked to Steve, and I wanted to put it on like a shared drive. So anytime a board member wanted to get on the shared drive and take a look at what the expenditures are, it's a live document. There's no more guessing. So if Clarissa wanted to say, well, let me see what's going on here in the CSD budget with the fire department on utilities, she can get right on there on the shared drive, and there it is. Shared drive is password protected. Same with the CAL FIRE money. And so that's how you keep control on that, Debbie.
All right, I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding and relating to and having comprehension of how it works, because I'm not sure on it, so I'm wanting to understand. For example, just because we've already took care of it, when we purchased, or when you when the department purchased the badges and stuff, was that like something you guys went ahead and decided and then went for? I'm just kind of wondering how that works.
Okay, that Debbie, that came out of the CAL FIRE
Okay.
money. Okay, I'm not going to take it out of the CSD money.
Okay.
And that is, again, because I don't want what happened with the Welcome Center to happen with the fire money. And so I want you as a board member should be able to walk in that office and pull out a receipt and be able to look at it and say, okay, it was debited to this account. Jim Brakebill knows about it because he signed and dated it on this date.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to see, I wasn't sure how the process worked. I was just curious. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Okay, I have a question. So Jim, anything that is bought and purchased over there, you approve prior to it being purchased, correct? They just
Correct.
can't,
Correct. And
anything that,
you're correct, because a lot of times I told them, no, we don't need it. You know, there's nice to have, and then there's a necessity. And I'm only going to approve the necessities.
okay, because I just want to make sure that all invoices that come in over there have been approved by you prior to. So for example, if there's a towing bill or a bill for a repair on the truck or whatever, those have all been approved for you by you prior to the invoice getting sent to the district, correct?
Correct. And actually, that's documented in the emergency reporting log under the equipment maintenance. There's an entry that's put in there that these are the estimates. This is the one I chose, and it's been approved on such and such a date. And then I put in there with the method that it's going to be paid. All right, the work gets done because it's under the spending limit.
Right.
Steve receives the bill. He either puts it in my box, and when I come up there weekly, I sign it and give it back to him, or he'll scan it, send it to me. I'll sign it. I'll look at the budget. I'll give it an account number. I'll sign and date it, send it back to Steve. Now he has a paper trail. So now there shouldn't be any problem about, I didn't know about this. What's this money going to? Which account's this going? It's all right there for you to look at.
Okay,
Also,
there-
Clarissa,
I think the best way to look at it,
hold on one at a time.
Clarissa,
Go
I
ahead.
think the best way to look at that is that if Jim, any of the invoices that come over should have Jim's signature on them, so you'll know that he's looked at them and approved them. If they're not, then they shouldn't be paid until he sees them.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was getting at. I just want to make sure that anything that's being spent, he knows about prior to. Okay, anything else from directors? Anything from the public? I don't see anybody. Oh, okay, there you are. I see Lisa's hand up. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi. So yeah, when we were working on the budget and it hasn't been completely finalized, when you look at that, Chief, do you see the various areas that we had, because we did break things out, medical supplies, office supplies, things like that. Do you think that we'll be able to categorize simply enough the expenditures of the $750 a month into those various ones and keep an eye on whether or not we're going to accidentally exceed the overall budgeted amounts for those various categories? Do you think that will be something that will be trackable?
Yes, that's the whole purpose of having the budget designed like it is. And with your help and the budget committees, this is the first time now we've had a legitimate budget.
Thank you.
Those limits are set on the budget. This is the budget. This is what's budgeted for this account for this fiscal year. You're
Yeah.
not going to exceed that.
Yeah, no, I'm only asking, when you figured that number, this is the 750 was a number based off of former budgets for the month. When we were looking at how we did this, does that still comfortably fit with all the various different aspects?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, just because it's $750 a month, if I only have $300 left in one account, then the 750 is mute.
Yeah.
Because there's only $300 left in
Right.
that account.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, do I have a motion?
I motion that we give Chief Brakebill on the budgeted money, a maximum of $750, and on money that they've made from other ventures, whether it be CAL FIRE, station standbys, or whatever, $2,500 after those amounts, he comes to the board for approval.
Second,
Go ahead, Debbie.
second,
Okay. All in favor? Or Nate, go ahead and do roll call, please.
All right. With Director Sink and Director Quinones absent, Director Lohr, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yearsley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Shields, how do you vote?
aye.
All right, motion passes with 3 votes and 2 absentees.
Okay, moving on. That was pretty quick. Director's reports. Debbie, do you have anything?
Not at present time.
Director Yearsley?
Jim does such a good report. I never get a chance to really report much about the fire department, but they're doing good. I see them out doing things. When I drive by, I'm sure everybody sees them out training, cleaning trucks. It's a hard job to keep a volunteer fire department running, and I think Jim's doing a good job. And I think these new amounts will help him with knowing what he can and can't do. We need to get our bank accounts taken care of. We need to get our QuickBooks taken care of. And this is not just on Steve, but the excuse of, we don't have the administrative thing is we've got to move on, whether it be get an attorney involved, the district attorney involved, or we shut down the QuickBooks that we've got and quit using them and get new ones, or whatever we've got to do has got to be done. It's been too many months that it's the same excuse every time that we don't have stuff. We got to get our CSD back in control, and there's ways to do that with using the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, and using an attorney to file against whatever we're not getting taken care of. So I think we just need to really push hard to move on and not be too worried about whose toes we're stepping on, but we need to get moving on. I'm encouraged by the budget this year. A lot of us that got together put in a lot of time. We put in a lot of weeks, and this budget should be one of the best ones that Yermo's had. If we follow it, and every time we decide to okay something on a line item, we should be good. But we've got to get our bank accounts, our bank money. We've got to get the Welcome Center put behind us. We've got so many issues we just keep bringing back every single month. We need to put it behind us so we can move on. But I would say that we're doing a darn good job for what we have. We have elections coming up. Things are going to change after that. And I hope we can just keep moving on.
Okay, thank you, Gary. I just want to say I agree with you. We need to get all those things taken care of. We need to get on top of them, and whatever it takes. If we have to hire an attorney, we have to hire an attorney. But we do need to get control over those somehow. I want to thank everybody on the budget committee. You guys did an awesome job. I know it was a lot of hard work, and we really appreciate it. We appreciate being able to just look at something and know, okay, we got the money for that, or whatever the case may be. So I do appreciate all your guys' hard work. I know you took away from family time and everything else to be able to do that, and we really appreciate it. That's pretty much all I have for that. Identification of items for future meetings. Steve, I have one for getting the attorney to get control over everything that you need to get control over. Gary's you need to get in contact with Gary and have him help you word that. We need to put item 2 back on for next time for the Welcome Center. And then I want something on there. I'm not sure where we're at with the fiscal audit, but we need something on there. And if we need to approve the money or whatever it takes to get that done, then we need to do that as well.
Well, we've already approved the money.
Okay. So
The
with that,
fiscal audit is underway, it's running.
okay. Okay, so I want it on there next month for just an update on what's going on with it.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything for future? Director Yearsley?
Clarissa, he's handling a citizen right now that walked into the
Okay.
office. He just
Oh,
told me he
okay.
doesn't have anything.
Okay, Debbie, do you have anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna need him to be able to do this next one.
Okay, I'll drag him by the ear. Hang on.
Tell him it'll just take a second.
He's got a long walk from Calico.
I second the motion.
Oh, we have to motion first. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I thought Jim said I needed to second it.
No, I need.
So I'll
I need-
motion first to end our meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Aye.
this meeting is adjourned at 8:22 PM. You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.